Hey, 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 live from Denver. It is Friday night. Let us make sure that all is well in our... Oh, look at that beautiful sound coming across. We're getting some strong sound this week on the sound check, so I hope it's coming across to you guys well. Critics and everybody out there, we are so happy to see you in the comment section. And of course, we being my beautiful, wonderful, intelligent, absolutely amazing wife and rock of my universe, person who keeps me stable, and person I love.
Oh, well, I love you.
Oh. So we are joined by Melissa this week.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Very, very happy to be here. See everybody in the comments, all the usual suspects and critics and everything. And I am just pleased as punch about that. And okay, so we've got some random stuff to talk about. Of course, this is a call-in show, so right from the top, I'm going to say that you can call in and get into our queue. The queue is 4 calls, and I figured that was plenty to have on hold at any one time. And last week we had that queue full almost the entire show. Yeah, it was awesome. So feel free to call in if you want to talk to us. We are happy to talk about anything. Or just about anything, of course, within reason and, etiquette and manners and all of that kind of thing. But in terms of the topic for tonight, it's fighting cults. And by that, I don't mean cults that fight. I mean fighting, taking on, going after, exposing destructive cults, high control groups, authoritarian activities, groups that engage in unacceptable levels of coercive control.
And it would be kind of fun, like if Celebrity Deathmatch was still around, if you could take like David Miscavige or L. Ron Hubbard versus, I don't know, the guy from Nexium or something.
Yes, Keith Raniere. Yes, Keith Raniere. That would be hilarious. Or how about David Miscavige versus L. Ron Hubbard?
Ooh.
There we go for a celebrity death match. I would love to see that. That would be hilarious. Yes, martial arts cults. That's right. They're out there. All those non-religious groups out there. So, okay. So, yeah, cult leader cage fights. That's right. I would love to see that. Okay. So, yes, let's pass that one through. All right. So intro wise, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I've been having some thoughts and ideas and, kind of related to my recent, education and activities and my future. And what am I doing? Where are we going? What's this channel doing? Where are we going? What are we doing? That kind of stuff. I thought, well, we're fighting cults and let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit and maybe renew that purpose or that endeavor. I know some of you, I have this vision of me as like this guy who's just been on the, has been on the warpath, for 10 years now against Scientology, or almost 10 years. This year will be 10 years. In December of this year, it will be 10 years that I've been out of the Sea Org. And next year will be 10 years out of Scientology entirely. Yeah, we're coming up on the 10-year deal here.
Dang.
Yeah, so it has been a interesting road with a lot of associates and companions along the way, and a lot of work that's been done. And my feelings on the topic have been all over the spectrum for years and years. I've been up, I've been down, I've been all over in terms of how do I feel about, the subject of Scientology, of cults in general, of coercive control, because then we bring into the picture domestic violence and gangs and trafficking, and this whole other realm of stuff gets piled into this picture. And the focus for so many years being such awful behavior and such bad behavior and really evil stuff on the part of how people treat each other, that, it's hard to maintain an optimistic, positive view of the world in light of some of the awful that happens. And I get steeped in that sometimes. And over the years, that has been, sometimes that's been quite overwhelming and very difficult for me. And other times, not a problem at all. You just roll with it, right? Or in other words, it's been an emotional roller coaster ride. But lately, this topic has been on my mind and something I've been thinking a bit about in terms of, well, now I've got this degree. People ask me, where are you going? What you going to do? What are you going to do with
What are you
this?
gonna do when you grow up?
Yeah, exactly. All right. And I have actually, for the last couple years now, whether you guys have noticed it or not, and I'm sure a lot of you might have, I've been a little waffling in my head about, well, where am I going with this? What am I doing with this? What is my purpose here? What am I trying to accomplish? And I've been thinking about things and a lot. Anyway, I guess the bottom line is that I've sort of recently realized that I need to kind of renew my drive or my purpose, not from a position of desperation or apathy or upset or something like depression or something, but from the point of view of this is my purpose. This is what I want. This is my life direction. This is the goal. This is what I'm doing. And I think for a while, with the education I was getting, I was seeing lots of different roads that you could go down, that I could go down with this information or with this education. And that presents all these possibilities. And then once you make a decision, that limits your possibilities. And I think that more than anything else was kind of in my way as to, well, I don't want to limit myself and cut off avenues of whatever. But I think I've got a big enough niche and a big enough field with enough work that needs to be done in it, both academically and publicly. I'll separate those two worlds, that I can accomplish my main goal here, my main push or thrust or whatever, is to fight these groups. I'm a fighter. I'm not a guy who sits in the background and with a pleasant smile on my face and, oh, well, I'll just expand the knowledge base or something. Or I'll just do some organizational work that, organize things and figure things out and, do some trust or something, or some brain trust or something. No, I kind of need to be in the fight. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what's happening. And like I said, for a lot of you guys, you might go, yeah, well, what else have you been doing all this time? But that's what I'm trying to explain. So you had a quote that you wanted to share on this line that I thought was great.
Kind of on purposes and that kind of thing. This one is a Maya Angelou quote. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you.
Well, there you go. Right? And that is an agony if you cannot. That's the reason why I thought that quote was so great, because of course I immediately applied it to myself, as I'm sure you guys have, in hearing that. It's not that my story is now untold, because I've now told it over and over again in detail. It's all there on my channel for you guys. But how many other stories aren't being told? Right? How many other stories need to be told? How many of us could benefit substantially from hearing those stories, from knowing what those people went through? And, of course, what else needs to be known about? There are personal anecdotes and information and life stories, but there is also, the psychology and the sociology and all of the other kind of academic approach to this stuff too. So that's, that's where I have arrived. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys this week, and under this banner of fighting cults and renewing purpose, I guess you could say, right? And direction for myself. And there's been a lot of exciting things happening, because the other thing I wanted to say about this is that it's not all bad. There is a tremendous amount of satisfaction to be found in this fight when you actually see the results of your fighting, of your work. And it's been this has always been, growing a YouTube channel is itself a marathon, not a sprint. It's not something you do really, really fast. It takes time. It takes building it. It's finding an audience, finding your voice, figuring out how you want to go about doing this, you know, and I've been working, that's been a work in progress for years for me. But lately, this Scientology stuff has been so satisfying to hear about. And more people from inside the Scientology bubble world are reaching out to me, to other critics that I'm in touch with, right, that you know. And I'm trying to be, you know, as circumspect as I can while still giving you guys the good news that alone, that just the number of people that are reaching out to us from inside the bubble world of Scientology, not just not left a few years ago. We always get that. But from inside to talk to us, that's unheard of, especially in the numbers that are happening right now. And I'm not talking about, you know, tens or hundreds of people. But believe me, when, you know, I've been doing this for all these years now, running a YouTube channel for like 8 years, and I've never had as many sources of information just throwing themselves at me, you know, to talk about this. And that itself is its own level of sign of just how much the control inside that bubble world is slipping, right? They are losing these people. And there is just nothing that warms my heart more than to get people out of under the oppression and the, you know, the authoritarian nonsense that goes on in these groups, especially Scientology. So, oh my God, thank you, Gurur. I'll take that. I will totally take that. I haven't been paying too much attention here, but I glanced down and see I'm the Howard Stern of academic podcasts. Hell yeah. I'll own that one. Okay. Yes, exactly. We are your mods. Welcome to, we are it right now.
This is what happens.
That's right. So, okay. So that's what's happening there with the good news, the good stuff. And you're going to hear more. You know, if you guys aren't keeping up with Tony Ortega's blog, I recommend you do so. The Insider, the guy I've been interviewing anonymously, he had a write-up today on Tony's blog. And Aaron published some information this week. Aaron has been on a roll. He has been on fire lately. Here I'm talking about Aaron Smith-Levin out in Clearwater. And he has been making videos like almost every other day talking about stuff. And there was something I wanted to share with you guys because I don't know if you've seen or heard about this, but it's the latest in the inside data we're getting, and it's quite interesting. And this has been corroborated across a number of sources. It's not just one. I definitely have 2 sources on this one. Okay, so yeah, so we don't have any calls in the queue yet, so let me tell you guys about this, okay? Because this is more fodder for our cannon, so to speak. This is good news. Well, it's not good news, actually, but it's interesting. So you guys know that in Clearwater, Florida, is Scientology's main service delivery facility. It's called FLAG, the Flag Service Organization, FSO. Big, huge buildings. They have lots of property in Clearwater, all of it designed to either house Sea Org members or act as accommodation spaces for public Scientologists who fly into town, or there are service facilities, course rooms, classrooms, auditing rooms, and there are different levels of Scientology that people do. So you have different organizations within the Scientology bubble world. It's not all just one big autonomous thing. You know, we've been over all this. Well, one of the things that FLAG does, and has for years and years and years, is there will be what are called training evolutions. That's what they call them in Scientology, evolutions. It's a military term. I never really have been completely clear on that term, but it's basically like a long-term project. It's something that's going to be done, and when it's done, there will be a specific, you know, product. In this case, the evolution, the thing that they are doing is training staff from all of the city level churches, all the class 5 orgs. They bring staff to FLAG, and at FLAG, you're supposed to get the best of the best of the best in terms of quality of training. It is the peak of Scientology. We call, just to give you an idea, right? We call the city level churches like Denver, Milano, or New York, we call those class 5 orgs. Flag in Clearwater is the one and only class 12 org. It's the only one in the world. Okay, so that's the level that it's at. So people go there expecting the very best in quality, and they pay high prices when they're going there to be as public. They pay, generally 2 to 4 times more than they will pay at their city level church, even for the same services. So Flag is also the place where they have been training staff. And specifically this time, they're doing this new training thing, what's called the Golden Age of Admin. This is supposed to be the policy of Scientology being learned by staff members at Flag at a level they've never understood it before, right? The idea is they're going to go do this whole thing, and they're going to be the best executives that Scientology has ever had. Okay. Well, we already know that, Scientology policy and the organizational structure, one, has already been taken fully apart by David Miscavige. But even before he did all that, it didn't work. It wasn't a workable system. It was just something that was kind of grown over the decades, and it was a mess. And this is what's represented in Hubbard's policies, is this kind of weird structure for an organization that's divided into 7 divisions and blah, blah, blah. So these trainees are sent to Flag. And right now, apparently, the numbers are that there are something like 30 or so. In the whole world, there are something like 130 to 140, something like that, somewhere around there, Scientology churches, class 5, okay? And sometimes those are represented by more than, there's a day and a foundation. There's the day shift and the night and weekend shift. That's called foundation. Those 2 shifts are 2 different organizations. Sometimes orgs are divided into day and foundation, and sometimes they are not. It depends on the history of the organization and various things like that. It's not a structural issue. Eventually, they'll all be divided into day and foundation was the idea. But some orgs are still single shift. Anyway, point is, every org is supposed to send 15 staff members to Flag for this Golden Age of Admin training. Never in Scientology's history have so many staff been demanded to be sent for training. It's a lot. It's a lot. Because I want you to keep in mind that a lot of the Scientology churches around the world they have less than 15 staff total working in them. These are just volunteers. These are just people working at that church. So, they get a little bit of money, but mostly they're counted as religious volunteers. And so you have to have another job, or you have to have a spouse, all this crap. Well, about 30 of the orgs around the world have complied so far with sending 15 guys out there, or the equivalent of that, is what I'm being told. So that means there's about and then with more staff from other orgs where they haven't finished the full team yet. Right now, there's about 600 or 700 staff out there at Flag training to be top executives, okay? So you got that picture of, a few hundred staff from all over the world training there, and public Scientologists going to Flag and doing services, because that's where you go and you do your OT 6 and 7. That's the only place in the world you can do those 2 levels. That's where you can do superpower, and that's where you can do that cause resurgence rundown where you run around a track. All of that stuff is Flag only. And there's a lot of other services that are only delivered at Flag, which we won't talk about today because it's, too silly to get into. So there's all these public there. But, Scientology hasn't really been booming in the last few years, as we've gone over. And so Flag has not been booming either. But at the March 13th event this year, which is L. Ron Hubbard's birthday, that's why they have an event on March 13th every year to celebrate Hubbard's birthday. And this year was the first event they've had since COVID started on March 13th. That was David Miscavige came out, did this briefing. I guess it was on video or something, and then it got sent out to all the orgs. And in this event, he announced this whole golden age of admin thing and said that all these staff were going to flag and to train. So all the public now know that this is happening. But get this. And this is one of the weirdest things you are ever going to hear. I mean, it is weird. So after that event, Miscavige ordered all of those staff who are out there on training onto a nighttime study schedule. And this is the first time I'm ever hearing about anybody doing this under any circumstances in all of Scientology's history. So it's weird, it's unique, it's different. And it's like, what? He did what? He took these hundreds of people. Oh, by the way, the demographics of Scientology staff are almost exclusively 40 and above. There's a lot of 50 and 60-year-olds at Flag right now doing this training.
Middle age, okay.
Okay, these are older people. These are not young guns. That Scientology ain't getting a bunch of new people in.
Nope.
So there are young people there who are second or third generation Scientologists who are in, right? But for the most part, you know, it's the diehard staff who've been around forever. And so there's these old people there or middle-aged people there. And they are now on a night shift schedule, which means they don't get up. Their day starts at 6:30 p.m.
Wow.
And they get breakfast, and they get a muster, and they get like a half hour of some exercise, and then they go and muster up. I guess they start studying at like 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock or something. And they don't go home until midnight. Until noon. They study through all night long. They have lunch and dinner. So it's kind of like they took the whole day schedule and they just flipped it. And you're wondering, well, why would they do this? What possible reason would there be to do something this ridiculous with all of these people and put them on this night schedule? Well, the reason they're being told that this is happening, and I find this completely unbelievable, is because so many public are going to Flag. The outer org trainees apparently have been told recently that 1,000 people have arrived to Flag for services in the last 3 weeks. I don't see how that's even possible. And I don't say that from this point of incredulousness. I mean, logistically, knowing how Scientology works from the inside out, I don't see how that's possible. It's just a number that defies belief. That 1,000 public Scientologists have arrived to Flag for services, and there's no real, from direct observation on the ground out there, there's no real change in the scenery. Apparently, though, get this, if you're a public person, a Scientologist, and you go to Flag, or a staff member, and you go to Flag, you're quarantined there.
Oh, shit.
You can't leave the base. If you leave the base, you have to do a 2-week quarantine before you're okay to mingle with the staff and the crew again. So once you arrive at Flag, you're there. You're not shopping, going around, doing things that you know. You're on the base. So they've got this bubble world, this like lockdown world there that is more stringently controlled right now than it's ever been. Ever. And this is going all the way down to the public level. So why would people be going to Flag? Well, the orgs, the outer orgs, the city level orgs, they still can't deliver purification rundowns. They still can't deliver the lower level services that are the most popular services. But if you think about it for a second, if I wanted to go do a purification rundown, let's say I'm a public Scientologist. Let's say I've gone clear and I want to go OT, but I need to do my purif again. I need to do it again. Just like, remember, because we talk about how they make them do those services over and over again. I can't go to my local org. I can't go down to the Denver org. I can't even fly to the Melbourne org or the Perth org and do a purif. No org can deliver that sauna detox program right now. They're not allowed to because of COVID. The staff are still wearing gloves and masks. They're that into those COVID protocols still that we talked about on the podcasts. So I'm stuck. The only place in the world I could go and do a Purif is Flag, apparently. Maybe LA. 1,000 people show up to Flag in the last 3 weeks, they say. I don't believe it.
Sure.
For what? A Purif? Does Flag have a sauna that's going to hold 1,000 people in it? 500 people? 250 people? Like if you put them all on shifts. Let's say, you know, even anyway, point is it strains credulity. It doesn't make any sense, no matter how I try to slice this or figure it out, that it could possibly be true that many public Scientologists are going to Flag for services right now. In other words, these trainees are being lied to. And the reason we think that they're being lied to is because we think it's so empty there that it's the exact opposite of this. That the Flag course rooms are so empty of public that Miscavige doesn't want all these staff to see that. That's our best guess right now as to what's going on. And imagine the mindset you'd have to be in to say, okay, I can't let any of I'm bringing all these staff here for training, but I can't let them see the course rooms during the day. I guess I'll have to put them on night study. And then he tells them that they have to be on night study because there's so many public that there's no room for them in the course rooms. That's what the staff members were told, the trainees. I mean, this is a lie just begging to be burst. Because it only takes 1 or 2 or 3 staff members accidentally seeing something they're not supposed to. Oh, yeah, by the way, the staff who are on this crazy nighttime schedule are being bussed around from when they need to go to their birthing spaces and stuff in blacked out buses. And they're wearing sunglasses when they go out in the morning or at night or when there's sun out so that it doesn't mess with their circadian rhythm. Like somehow this is supposed to be the solution to being able to study at 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Imagine you're having to sit there holding the cans. I mean, I don't know what these people are thinking. And it's not only training that these staff are supposed to do, they're also supposed to get a lot of auditing while they're there. And auditing requires that you be well rested and well fed. I don't know how you get a 60-year-old well rested and well fed at 4 in the morning for a session. I just don't know how any of this works. So anyway, pretty crazy stuff. And that's just the latest leak we've heard this week. I will breathe and I will take a drink. So I just had to share that with you guys. I couldn't help but do it. And I'm not even breaking this news. This was on Aaron's channel a couple days ago. But it's definitely corroborated information on my. I've separately found out. Yes, this is true. So we have no doubts about this. And it's just another one of these weird, crazy things that's going on in Scientology right now that is so weird, so strange, so off from anything that Hubbard ever would have ordered or said or done, that all we can do from the outside is just like, what the hell is going on in there right now? It's crazy town. But it's so satisfying. Because all this craziness and all these people speaking up now and speaking out or contacting us and that kind of thing indicates that, you know, these walls are crumbling. This whole situation is not on strong legs, I guess. So there you go. Now, as far as Valerie Haney's case, watch Tony Ortega on that because he's the one who really keeps up on it. What I know right now is the case has been kicked back to arbitration. Just like they're trying to do with with the Valeska Gawain lawsuit in Florida right now. They're also trying to kick that toward arbitration with the contract law thing. They're getting all kinds of mileage out of that. And we'll see if they succeed. But Valerie's kind of hung up on that right now. And I think she asked, yeah, that's right. The story this week was that Valerie had to choose or name a Scientologist in good standing to be on the arbitration panel. And she named Elizabeth Moss. So I thought that was a ballsy move. I mean, they'll just say no, they'll figure somebody else out. But I thought it was pretty cool that they named Elizabeth Moss on it. That's right. So so that's where it stands right now. And we'll see what happens with that. I am not, I really don't want to poo-poo these things. I really don't. But you guys know how frustrated I am with Scientology legal cases and battles and the just the endless array of legal mumbo jumbo and nonsense that they pull or are able to take advantage of to avoid prosecution, avoid paying for, their criminal abusive nonsense. So I get a little frustrated pretty easily about that stuff, but yeah. Yeah, no, they sleep during the day. They're not allowed to do what they want, Cece. They have to go. They're very tightly controlled. There are very few things that are more controlled than the life and schedule of an outer org trainee at Flag. When you're a staff member and you go to Flag for training, you will classically be there for a very long time, and you will be on an insane schedule that you will not enjoy. And part of the reason they say that they make the schedule so insane is so you don't get comfy there. And you just get through the training and get your ass home. But really, it's just, the standard Scientology abusive environment on steroids. That's what it's like. I did outer org training. I didn't do it at Flag. I did it in Los Angeles. When I was a Santa Barbara staff member, I went down 4 different times for training projects and things to learn how to do so I could be a better staff member in Santa Barbara. So, all right. Yeah, I've only been to Flag myself twice. When I was in the Sea Org, I only went out there once. I've been to Clearwater twice since then. But as far as actually walking around in the Flag buildings and having anything to do with Flag, that was all the way back in 1996. That's the only time I was actually out there as a Sea Org member. I was a pretty new Sea Org member. I'd only been in for a year, less than a year at that point, when the golden age of tech came out, the first one, phase 1, and that was back in 96. And COB, Miscavige, briefed all of us personally on all of it. It was like a 2 or 3 day briefing. And he was, that's one of the places where that's the most time I spent with Miscavige in one room. I was there with a few hundred other staff members from around the world who were called there to get briefed on this whole thing. And since I was a Sea Org member at this point, but I was overseeing all of the West US delivery. So that's why I was out there as part of it, because it was part of the whole delivery thing. So anyway, if you understand all that, that was my Flag experience. Let's see what other comments do we have in here. Yes, that's right. That census data came in from Australia. 1,655 Scientologists in all of Australia self-identifying.
Wow.
Right?
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's not even most town populations.
No. No. Do you want to check and see how many Jedi there are in Australia?
All right, let's see.
Just check that out. Curious. Jedi always beat out Scientologists, so that's why I was wondering. I think there might likely be. We can check this maybe. Okay, in Australia,
48,000 people identify as Jedi.
Wow, 48,000 Jedi, 1,655 Scientologists.
So
you got to be kidding me with these numbers, man.
Jedi are winning again.
That's right. Public Scientologists do drop into Flag if they want to tour. Yes, they can do that. You have to be a Scientologist in good standing to go to Flag, and they have to clear you to go there. They don't have to necessarily clear you like you have to have okay to get there to show up. They will stop you if they suspect that you're up to no good. But a public Scientologist can absolutely show up there. You can check out anytime, but you can never leave. Exactly. So, yeah. So good times, good things happening. And yeah, Australia Scientology's down stat too. That's right. Okay, good. So anyway, if you guys want to throw, I might have missed some earlier questions. Now, the call-in queue is wide open right now, guys. 984-214-4154. And we do have time for a couple calls if y'all want to call in and talk to us. Though that was pretty much the Scientology update I wanted to give you guys. I thought you'd like to know because that's not broadly known about yet. It's brand spanking hot, lightning, fresh, new data out of the Scientology bubble world. And frankly, I'm just amazed I'm able to give that to you knowing that data is so fresh right now. That is, like I said, it's just unheard of that I've had this level of access to that bubble world in all the years I've been doing this. And that alone, I think, tells me a lot about the state of things in Scientology. And if all goes according to plan, you guys will be seeing a Rachel Bernstein podcast tomorrow. It's a nice little short podcast. But next week, I'm hoping to get the insider back. So we're going to be talking more about some of this stuff and more about current state of things. We needed to talk about all of that Chase fraud, credit card fraud that's been going on from 2014 to 2019. We needed to get all that out of the way. And we needed to talk about all the COVID stuff so that it would be understandable why Scientology is in such a bad state right now. Not, I will stress, an irrecoverable state. They could still turn things around. But when I hear about the stuff like with the staff going on a night schedule, I just have to go, what? What are they doing? I mean, it's just such a desperation move. It just smacks of desperation out of Miscavige. And that's not necessarily a word I've connected with him often. You know, it's so weird. And I'm hoping we get more information to clarify even more about where they're coming from on this stuff. But that's for next week. So there you go with that. Yeah, who knows? Don't know. Yeah, exactly. Support the Aftermath Foundation, guys, for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
I will definitely put that out there. They're busy little bees these days, and they could always use the support, including volunteering. I answered a question in last week's Q&A, I think, about that and about volunteering for the Aftermath Foundation. It's definitely a worthy thing to do, and there's no real danger in doing it. So if you have the time, resources, or ability to do so, I do recommend helping them out with that. It's the single most direct thing you can do. The other thing you can do, of course, is support our channels in getting the word out about it. Aaron, me, Karen, Tony, etc. Right? We're all doing the best we can to push out a living as best we can while we talk about and expose this stuff and try to make the world a better place despite itself.
Yes.
So,
what?
I was just wondering if you had anything you wanted to bring up since I've been going on at such a mad rate this whole time.
I mean, I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
No, I know, sweetie. Of course. Of course. No, I don't mean to put you on the spot there. I know what you tell me,
but I don't,
No, I meant anything else. Yeah. Well, one thing we could mention, since that call-in queue remains empty right now, is The Boys.
Yeah.
We've been talking about The Boys. We've been talking up The Boys all season, right? It just finished.
Yeah.
And I guess it was 8 or 9 episodes, and the last one just aired. And
we won't spoil it, but
I won't spoil it, but here's okay. The Boys is a show with good writers who think things through, but somehow the last show of this last season,
instead of being the dark comic that it was based off of what things would really be like, it went into the other kind of comic.
yeah, exactly. Like the entire tone and everything just turned 180 degrees after a whole season of good, solid setup. Mm-hmm. And I am just very disappointed in that. There were so many things that could have happened if they had just decided to have the guts to do some things that would have been quite drastic to some main characters, but would have been consistent with the setup. You know, when you change everything at the last minute and make everything okay for everybody, you know, it's a little bit of a letdown in a show that is and
it's unrealistic.
Well, exactly. And it's like, well, it's a superhero movie or show. Well, of course it's unrealistic, but that's the whole point of The Boys, is it's an actual satirical, but still pretty hardcore, realistic look at what superpowers would actually do to people, right? Which would be, they'd blow up their heads. I mean, the power would go to their heads. It would be crazy. And the corporate America thing, and the, you know, with Vought represented as this, you know, massive megacorp, and the amorality of it, and just the number of things that they satire or feature in the show. They even included Leah in the show, not directly, but one of the characters was exposing a cult. You know, they had Scientology in there. Really well done storyline when it came to that. I was very impressed by it, and I laughed hysterically this season at the Leah parallel, you know, with one of the superheroes exposing the cult with a book and all this kind of stuff. So it was awesome. But yeah, exactly. Exactly. I did have to laugh a little bit. I'll share this with you guys. I keep thinking this is that I think it's hilarious that the shallowest character on the show is named the Deep. I just think that's funny. I really do get a laugh, get a kick out of that. Okay. Yep. Okay, good. So yeah, no, it was not worse than the Game of Thrones end. No, it wasn't worse than that. You'd have to work really hard. But there was somebody on Reddit, actually. I was looking through some of the threads on the show on Reddit because I was wondering what other people were thinking. And one person said, did they change writer rooms with the Game of Thrones guys for the last episode? Right? Like what happened, right? Because it was so, everybody was like, this was the best season with the best buildup and the best character development and the best look into their psyches and really grappling with these questions of power and morality. And then to just let go of the wheel at the last minute like that was just so incredibly disappointing. Yeah. And so there we go. And okay, hey, we got a call here. Let's pick this one up. Hello, is this Matt?
It sure is. Hello.
Hey, you're coming through loud and clear. What's up?
Excellent. Nothing much, man. This is my first time calling. I've loved your stuff for a good long while.
Awesome. Welcome to the show.
I'm a drug and alcohol counselor. Hello?
Oh, sorry. No, we're here. We're here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. There's a little delay sometimes in the audio.
Oh, I see. No worries. I've been a fan for quite some time now. I love your stuff. I haven't called in before, but I emailed you once. I'm a drug and alcohol counselor, and you were very kind and gracious in your response, so I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that was a great email. I remember that, and I thank you for enlightening me about all that stuff. I remember that.
Thank you. Good. Excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My question to you is a frivolous one, I guess, but since we're talking about The Boys, which is the show I love as well, I figured I would ask you about another franchise. I am, as you are, one of the rare dual citizenship card holders between Star Wars and Star Trek fandom.
Yes.
So I am equal parts citizen of each of those communities. I've, when I was a little kid, my dad used to actually record on reel to reel just the audio of the original Star Trek when I was a little kid. And
wow.
I know. So I'm a Trekkie forever through Next Generation and all that. And Star Wars changed my life. I mean, I am a Jedi, and so I guess my question to you was, what elements of either and or both of those shows appealed to you when you were in Scientology? And has that changed, and has your perspective on those, various universes changed since your exit from Scientology?
Oh, what a great question. Thanks for asking me that, because I've not been asked that exact question before, and it's fun because I did have a big change of viewpoint about these genres, these properties, both when I was in and when I got out. So when I was in Scientology, Star Wars was factual, or it was it was representative of factual events, right? And I loved, we all in Scientology, we just got off on the little inside joke of Lucas prefacing the movies with "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away," because that puts Star Wars in history, not in the future. It's not a future genre show. It's about the past. Well, what do we all think?
In
Scientology, right?
A long, long time ago.
Right.
That's right. We thought, hey, this is the kind of stuff we used to get up to. And so, so from that point of view, I would sort of watch these movies and think to myself, representative of a certain level of reality over a certain time period. And why not? Not that there was actually a Luke Skywalker, you understand, but just the concepts of it, the space battles, the evil empires and the rebellion and good and bad guys and the technologies and, even lightsabers and Jedi Knights. I mean, that lines up in Scientology with Hubbard's concept of the loyal officers from OT3.
Okay.
Right? So...
yeah, I'm wondering. I think there's some crossover there.
Oh, yeah. Lots of crossover. And then Star Trek, for me, was actually, Star Wars has been more consistent, or Star Trek rather, has been more consistently viewed by me because it's always been representative of a future, and a future that I thought, I used to think was more attainable than I think now. I think human nature works against us a lot harder than we think it does. But I'm not a nihilist, right? I don't think it's all going to hell. I just think that future that Star Wars or that Star Trek puts there is a beautiful future. It's a future I want. It's a future of tolerance and compassion and understanding and communication, not, violence. At least that's what the original idea of it was. And I always glued onto that and aligned it to my concept of what the Sea Org's future was going to be like. Right? Because there used to be, right? In the 70s, it got really big in Scientology that Scientology artists would paint pictures of Scientology spaceships flying off into space, going off to Target 2 to bring Scientology to the universe, right? And some of these were pretty good paintings too, right? I mean, they were like in orgs and mission. I remember some of them. So there was this cultural Scientology idea that kind of aligned right in with the Star Trek, myth and purpose line. So that's why I always loved the Star Trek stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And was there a period of time when you were unable to look at either of those briefly after you got out of Scientology, or were you able to enjoy those straight through?
No, I've always been able to enjoy them. The reframe that occurred in my mind after leaving Scientology mostly was with the Star Wars stuff. And it was more of, I got a lot more it's sort of, how do I put this? Like, I got a lot more interested after I left the Sea Org in in the making of movies. Once I started making videos of my own on my YouTube channel, I kind of got into, what is movie making all about? And I was kind of rehashing a lot of stuff from when I was a kid, when I had a purpose to want to be a special effects tech. And that was from Star Wars, right? When I was a kid, that's literally the job I wanted. And and I'm going to share this with you. This is a little whatever. I'm not embarrassed by this, but I've never really talked about this before. When I first got out of Scientology and the Sea Org, I was still in good standing. I was still trying to make things work, right? And I had no idea of exposing Scientology or starting a YouTube channel to do that. But I did have an idea to start a YouTube channel. And I'll just share it with you guys because it was, 10 years ago I had this idea. I'm clearly not going to do it, so maybe somebody else wants to. But my idea was to get, how people will make videos of stop motion with the little Lego men and stuff? They'll do these.
For sure. I used to do that myself.
Okay, great. I love that stuff. And I thought, I'm going to go get a camera and I'm going to make the first, because nobody's done this yet, even now. I'm going to film dogfights between Lego spaceships.
Nice.
Right? Nobody's doing it, right?
You can even take that further, go like scene by scene.
Exactly.
Star Wars remake.
Exactly. And I was really thinking with this. I was buying the models. I was putting stuff together. I was going to do this. And then Scientology fucked me and I got a different purpose in life.
I guess a more meaningful one at least. So
Exactly. Clearly, this was the path I chose, and I'm all good on it. But I really have always thought, if I ever won the lottery for real, if I really got more money than I knew what to do with, and I was actually set, I would keep doing this kind of work. But I would also go rent a warehouse, and I would do some of that too.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Chris. That's been like just sort of a burning question I've had in my mind, so I appreciate your time. I am going to go fulfill my purpose now and counsel, which my group starts in about 7 minutes. So,
awesome, man. Have a good time.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, good. Let us quickly pull on here. We have a couple calls in the queue. First is Travis. Hello, Travis. You are on.
Good evening, Chris. Good evening, Melissa.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for calling in. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'll try to make this short.
Yeah, what you got?
Earlier in the program, you had mentioned that the training at the flag base is supposed to be something that is quantifiably or categorically different than anything any of these staff members have experienced up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any indication as to what that might actually mean with the tech or how it's being delivered? Has anybody on the outside been able to decipher that?
Yeah. In fact, Miscavige actually announced it at the March 13th event. He gave away, here's what we're doing. And the big reveal, the big secret of the Golden Age of Knowledge, or admin, is that they are studying all of the policy of L. Ron Hubbard organized chronologically by subject matter. So all of the policies on how to write a letter to a public person and get them to come in and do services, there's a whole line for that. It's called the Advanced Scheduling Registrar Letter Writing Line. Let's say that there are 20 or 15 policy letters over all the time of Scientology that Hubbard wrote or somebody else wrote in his name having to do with letter writing and getting people in. You now are studying all those policies in sequence, in chronological order. And that is supposed to give you a conceptual understanding of the evolution of that policy and line so that you know what to do and you're not just taking random policies out of order. You know, one might have modified, a later one might have modified an earlier practice, in other words, right? So by doing this study in this order across the entire Scientology organizing board, you're supposed to have this brilliant knowledge and concept of what a Scientology org is supposed to be doing. And if that sounds really underwhelming, I hope it does, because it's ridiculous. But that's the big thing that they're doing.
So this is different than what you went through when you went trained, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
Basically, administrative training in Scientology has consisted of studying all these policies, but in a kind of a different order and sequence. Well,
what I'm getting here is that David Miscavige, in all of his brilliance, has finally set up a comprehensive training program. Is that something that I'm overstating?
I would say that you would be overstating it to say it's comprehensive, because it's a little silly, because it really is unnecessary. It's kind of, from the inside view, as far as I'm concerned, it's much ado about nothing.
All right, so it's just another sales job. It's another fleecing of money of the people, and it's probably going to deliver pretty much zilch. Now, let me ask you, and this is my last question because I know we're getting close to the top of the hour.
Yeah.
Do you think that people sitting down, looking at all of these policies collected and delivered to them all at once, is going to maybe help them to see how inconsistent and incomprehensible all the information truly is? In the same way that when you present it on your channel, it's incomprehensible? Yeah.
I will say certainly that it's possible, especially considering that, you know, people are speaking out and stuff now more. So yes, it is entirely possible that people could wake up from this, or could at least have some seeds of doubt planted by it. The inconsistencies are there to be seen. The policy is ridiculous. So all the raw, you know, confusion and all that stuff is there. So hopefully so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps my hope there is a bit too wide-eyed or ambitious, but considering the fact that, well, considering your story and what you've delivered, the information about your experience over the years, it's the tech and how it was actually working in real time. And this is my interpretation of your story. That's essentially what ripped you apart from the organization itself psychologically. So
yeah, fair enough. Certainly culturally, right. I'll clarify as long as I still have you on the line here. I'll clarify that.
Yeah.
The thing that really popped it for me was seeing how misapplied, clear-cut, blatant policy was in the name of getting the stats up, right? Quote unquote. Anything counted as long as you were getting the stats up, especially money. And that's not really what Hubbard wrote. And so maybe Hubbard just wanted money no matter what, no matter how it came in, but that's not what his policies say. And I was of the old school idea that if it's written, it's true, and you read it and you follow it. And that's not really much the attitude anymore in Scientology, but that's what separated me from it, was the disparity between the existing real world and what I was supposed to be seeing as represented in the policy.
So what you just described is likely a much more accurate way of me stating what I thought earlier, what I said earlier, and that is, okay, see, since all these people are going to be learning all this policy, let them do that. And then let them go back to their organizations. And, wait a minute, didn't I read that this is crap? You know?
Yes, that's
That's
right.
one of the drawbacks of teaching people the rules is that they're going to know the rules.
That's right.
Okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that,
Anyway,
yes, I think I slightly misunderstood your question because you're exactly on the right line there.
Well, sometimes I don't communicate what's in my head all that clearly either. So, that happens. All right. Thanks for taking my call tonight.
Thanks, Travis. Thanks for calling in.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye. All right. And okay, I'm going to do this for the first time ever, but we are cutting it off at 7. So there is a call in the queue, but we're going to skip it this week. I'm going to ask the caller to please call back next week because we need to keep the show to our time limit for this week because there are other plans after this. So that all being said, we do have to do our card of the week. So we are going to do that. Pick a card, any card.
I think we've done that one like 3 times.
All right. I might need to get some other critical thinking tools.
Yeah. We should look for something.
I mean, we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of you have probably heard of this one, the no true Scotsman fallacy. Making what could be called an appeal to purity as a way to dismiss relevant criticisms or flaws of an argument. Angus declares that Scotsmen do not put sugar on their porridge, to which Lackland points out that he is a Scotsman and puts sugar on his porridge. Furious, like a true Scot, Angus yells at no true Scotsman sugars his porridge. I think we've all heard this in religious communities. Well, that's not a real Christian because that's not a real Muslim because, come on.
Absolutely. We see we see the no true Scotsman fallacy all the time. And it is the most dismissive, brush off piece of illogic ever. It routinely, I'm just going to say it, just routinely pisses me off when I see people do it. Because to me, it is one of the most obvious logical fallacies, just bad thinking. Just does it. What you're saying right now makes no sense at all. But people fight viciously with no true Scotsman. It's really quite something. Okay, guys. Yeah, lots of great comments tonight. Thank you very much for coming around. Check out the podcast with Rachel tomorrow and pre-recorded usual Q&A on Sunday. All right, guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.